Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Maureen McNerney. I'm our Director of Development at Women's Public Leadership Network. We're a national 501c3 dedicated to training and equipping women to run for office and be effective leaders once there. So if you haven't followed us on social media, we're at WPL Network across most platforms. And I'm really excited today to be kicking off our Mother's Day series 2023, our Moms on the Trail profile series with a good friend of ours, Tamika Hamilton. We're super grateful that Tamika's taking some time to share a little bit about her experience. In 2022, she ran for California's 6th congressional district. And while she was not elected, she serves as an incredible example of running with your values, really representing the challenges and overcoming the challenges of being a mom on the trail. And she's here to share a little bit about that experience. So Tamika, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor. I really appreciate you so much.
And, before we jump in, I think we were just chatting before this call about how this is what running looks like, right? As a mom on the trail, that a lot of the time you're in between different commitments. And so I just want, tell us a little bit about where you are and a little bit about your background, your family, and what brought you to this point.
Yeah, it's like you said, this is what life is like. I had all these grand plans. I'm going to be back at my home in my home office, and we're going to do this interview with perfect lighting. But guess what? My appointment ran over, and I'm in between child pickup. So I was like, no, we're not going to stop the interview. We're going to go, and we're going to do it. And so this is one of the things that I always, try to show, people call it authenticity. And I'm just like, it's just keeping it real, because you're not going to be able to always have those perfect moments to do everything the way you exactly wanted. And you just have to adjust and keep it moving. So this is one of those moments. Yeah, a little bit about me. I've been in the Air Force for 20 years, 14 active. And in the past 6 years, I've been a reservist. We moved to California 10 years ago. My husband's a police officer. We got stationed out here. We love California. We wanted to raise our kids here. So we decided to make it our home. I am a mom of 5. My youngest will be 2 in June. And I started this simply because I love my family and I love my community. And I saw a lot of the policies that were coming down, not just from DC, but also locally, that I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to get involved because I don't agree with how I'm being represented. And that's kind of really how I got started. I was never involved in any political groups, never done anything like that. I'm very much a volunteer mom at school kind of person, and kind of left it there. But when I decided to run for office, that's when, that's basically the start of my political career, and being politically engaged outside of just voting. Um, and it was something where it I was not prepared for it, to be honest. I just thought, okay, I just want to represent people like I have been in the military for the past 20 years. And so it was a lot of learning along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, and something that we're really hoping, and I know that you've made it a personal mission to share with women that are getting into this process, so that they have more information and understanding about what they can expect. So one aspect of that is having the conversation with your family, making the decision to run and step into the public space. So can you share a little bit about what went into that decision and how that conversation went?
Yeah, so it was basically, it was a group of friends that we're really close with. And obviously, in addition to my family, my little family. And we were just, saying, what should we do? How do we go about this? And I had put it off, to be honest with you. I knew in my heart that I was supposed to run for office, but I kept saying, maybe that's just not the place for me to go. Maybe there's something else, to be honest. And every weekend, because we spend time with our friends and family, every weekend, it was and we still do to this day, almost 7 years later. And they were like, okay, Tamika, when are you going to start? When are we going to do this? When we're going to do it? And I was like, one day I just broke down and was like, okay, we're gonna go. So it was like an ongoing conversation, of them just like, encouraging me, saying they had my back, knowing that obviously I've been in the military 20 years. My husband's a police officer. We knew that there were going to be challenges, but I've been deployed, we've moved several times. And so we said, we'll be up for the challenge. Uh, and, you know, it's been a really amazing journey because our village came together.
That's amazing. And it's also amazing just, with you being honest about the reservations that you had, or, whatever voice was telling you, no, 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 wait, wait, wait.
Yeah.
Even though, like you said, you've been deployed, you faced seemingly bigger challenges, and yet this is
Right.
still a pretty daunting process to become a part of. So, for anybody that's sitting there and maybe feeling some of those same feelings, and hearing that it is worth overcoming and jumping 2 feet in, and just knowing that we're sort of all feeling those together, right?
Yes. Yes, totally. And I started this with $100. So whoever's listening, I started this with $100. I did not have party support in terms of like financial. And I put the hard work in, 30 hours a week on the phone. I built a great team. And again, no party experience, no political experience. And we raised almost $2 million. So it's all about the grit, which kind of gets glamorized when you see all those pretty pictures and those, and the videos that make it seem like that there's not a care in the world when you're running for office. No, it's a lot of grit. And that's like you and I've talked so much about this. It's like that's what I want people to take away, is like it's not always about this. Sometimes people see the vision like come to life, but they're not there to see what it took to get there. And so that's one of the biggest things I want women to take away. It's like it's not going to be easy, but it can be done.
Yeah, and if you're willing to share a couple of maybe difficult situations that you had to overcome, especially in regards to balancing your family along on the campaign trail.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges was childcare. And when I say, so I had, I obviously have amazing people in my life, and they helped me with my children. But a lot of help doesn't come for free. And it wasn't until 2018 that women were allowed, families, because not just, it just doesn't say just women can use it, but candidates were not allowed to use campaign funds to pay for babysitting. And I didn't know this in the beginning when I started running, but thank God that someone fought for it to happen. But there's such a stigma with women using childcare to pay, using donations to pay for childcare, because there's this thing where it's like, why do you need to do that? Like this, what work are you doing where you have to do that? And I always try to express how I have to be on the phone. I have to call donors. I have to go to these meetings. I have to go meet community leaders. Sometimes I might have to fly out of state, and someone has to help to do that. And I got so much backlash for it. I mean, it was actually written about by journalists. Um, and I still decided to not let people's misunderstanding of like what it is to run stop me from doing what needed to be done. And I wasn't, and a lot of women I know personally, even electeds, have never used this option simply because they don't want the backlash that comes with it. And so I want to do everything I can to end that stigma, because you're going to need help, and you cannot kill yourself on the campaign trail. You have to accept that you're going to need some support. And this is one of those things. And if we want more women to be in office, and we want more good people to stay in office, we have to recognize that there's a lot of sacrifices that come with it, and that is, and it involves your family.
Absolutely. And I just want to plug and share that it's been a priority at WPLN to provide childcare at in-person
Yeah.
events and trainings, so that alone doesn't become a barrier to considering a run, and getting equipped with the knowledge and skills to be able to run. But certainly once you're on the campaign trail, I mean, there are spaces where your kids may or may not want to engage, and every family's different, every
Right.
child is different, every event and environment is different, and so to, to face judgment and backlash just on, hey, sometimes it's not appropriate that I even have my family in tow.
Right.
To recognize that it is difficult to be away from them when you have to be away from them as well. I think that women sort of are hit on both sides in terms of their ability to balance both the family life and the demands of a campaign.
And I want to just like give a nod to WPLN because you're the first organization that I've been a part of that actually offers childcare. That is such an amazing thing. I wish, I'm hoping you're the first, and so you're the leader of this, and I hope more people follow because that's amazing.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you saying that. So were there any aspects of the campaign that your kids did participate in or did enjoy in particular or got excited about? Anything that you want to sort of stories you want to share from that angle?
Oh yeah. So I never let my kids come to like rallies or anything like that with me just because rallies can be kind of unpredictable. Where like at the Capitol, that's as far as I went as far as rallies go here in Sacramento. They had like little things here and there. My kids did come to some of my fundraisers and I would get them to like go hand out like literature and stuff like that, or t-shirts or buttons. Like they love those things. And my kids have never met a stranger just like their mom. So they just like loved it and like loved talking, about whatever they were doing in school and how they liked coming to like little stuff that I was having. But I will be real, is like I did not do that a lot because I wanted my kids to not feel the campaign. I wanted my kids to have a childhood. I went through 2020 and 2022, some of the hardest, I think, election years that we've had in our modern times. I said modern times, like I'm so old, but and my kids went through the pandemic and all those things, and my goal was to like make sure that they didn't feel the distance. And so that's when my village came in. That's when my family came in, and they were great buffers. It's obviously challenging when they're hitting milestones and you're not there. Like, I had two babies while running. Well, one I had just had before running, and then I had another baby during the second campaign. And so, while they did come to some events, I did not put them in the spotlight often, just because I wanted them to be normal. I wanted to have them have a normal life. And, it's plus and minuses because you miss them, but it worked out for us.
Yeah, that's great. And I remember back to managing a campaign in 2019, and my candidate had three daughters, and the 8-year-old, the youngest, was like our best tough sell. Like she would not let her mom walk away from a voter without directly saying, "Hey, will you be voting for my mom?" And there was nothing
I
better
love
than watching somebody on a street corner that may or may not agree with my candidate actually be posed that question by her 8-year-old. So,
Oh my God. That's
definitely
amazing.
playing into the aspects that your kids enjoy. It's always great.
Yeah, yeah. My daughter went walking with me once and she loved it. And then I'm like, you're loving this a little too much. Cause she's like, oh, can we stay out longer? I'm like, girl, it is getting late. It's getting dark. Once they get rolling and start meeting people and knocking on doors, it's like, okay, they love it.
Yeah, they have so much more energy than us sometimes,
Yeah,
which is great. It's a great asset.
right.
um, So what other advice would you give or a piece of wisdom that you wish you'd known before starting this process, not just related to sort of the family and campaign balance, but I know, another aspect that you mentioned earlier is not having built-in party support, not coming out of like being the party's chosen candidate. And so overcoming challenges with fundraising and some of that grit that you mentioned earlier that it takes to run for office.
Yeah. So, because the first thing that comes to mind is, you know, there are going to be women that are listening that, they want to be a part of the process and they don't know where they exactly fit in. And they, they don't want to run, but they're like, okay, but I want to help. So one of the biggest things that I wish, and then this is what I'm doing to help others, is like, okay, you don't need to have the mic in order to be effective. You don't have to be the one that's the candidate in order to be helpful. But their candidates and party organizations, they need volunteers to make phone calls, they need volunteers to walk. And then if you have fallen in love with a candidate and you want to help them, you can get a meal train going. You can help them with childcare. I can't tell you how so many people, when I used to do lives, they're like, I didn't even think about offering childcare or support for a candidate that way, or sending them a meal, or um just those little things matter so much. And if we want good people to stay in politics and good people to run, they need to know that they have people that are fully behind them, not just to get an invoice, not just to take pictures with them, but truly have an invested interest in in a good quality candidate. And that comes with like that kind of support that I just discussed, just talked about. Because I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving an event, meeting my husband, like we're meeting each other, basically at home at the same time, and then we got to cook dinner, and then we got to do homework. It's like, man, I wish I had something already prepared, but because I was gone all day, that wasn't going to happen. And people can say like, oh, you could do this the night before, but it's like when you're running for office, your brain is not is wired differently. It's wired differently. You are feeling the whole world on your shoulders, and you also need a break, and you need rest. And so, there are going to be women that listen to this, and they could be that person that a candidate can trust to be able to have that peace and have that rest, because they're going to help take care of things that they can't do themselves. And so, you don't have to run to be effective and to be of support. You could do those little things that make all the difference, which is, like, again, childcare, food, whatever. It's almost like having a whole baby. It's like when you have a baby, it's like everybody rushes in. That's what needs to happen when we have good candidates. We need to rush in and do everything we can to help them.
That's such a great analogy. I feel like that I haven't heard, in terms of just, yeah, we show up for each other so much of the time, and then politics gets involved, and all of a sudden we get kind of cagey or uncomfortable or don't know how to navigate that as a situation.
Yeah.
And we need to normalize the fact that, like, if we want women to run, it needs to be normal that a woman's running, and we need to respond to it like in stride, like we do anything else that she might be doing in her life. So that's a great point. And also, I just want to call out, just protect the moments of peace that you need in your day so that you don't burn
Yeah.
out. And whether that is time with your family, or time at the gym, or time
Yes.
to sit and read and
Yeah.
do nothing, that a little investment just in your peace and is going to have big returns in terms of not burning out, and being sort of the best version of yourself that's out there on the trail as well.
That's so beautifully said. Wellness is so a part of this. Don't let people tell you it's not. You do not kill yourself. That you just said, oh my gosh, like put that on repeat everywhere, because it is. It's so good. That's so good. So, and I'm so glad you said that, because I almost burnt out, and it's not a good feeling, but it's just I don't want to add to it because that was amazing. Like, thank you for saying that.
Thank you so much. I need you, like, as my personal hype woman all the time. You make me feel so good. Um, but so sort of on that note, and just to kind of wrap us up, is just, how are you celebrating Mother's Day this year?
Oh, let me tell you something. We are going to have so much fun because we're taking the kids to our local town fair, and they're having the demolition derby the next weekend. And so I am like so excited because they don't know, and they love it. And so I am just like, so we're going to the fair earlier that day, and then at 4 o'clock before the sun sets, it's going to be demolition derby time. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
That sounds so incredibly fun. Well, I wish you a very happy Mother's Day. Have so much fun with your family. Thank you so much for your time, and I want everyone to know that amazing women like Tamika are part of our network, and we really want to connect you with not just the network of mentors and folks that
Yes.
can give you sort of resources and background and information about this process, but are going to be that network of support and be in your corner if you choose to run. So We're
Yeah.
super grateful, grateful to have met you this year and to be moving forward with you for future runs and to support the other women across the country.
Yes, we're gonna do great things. Thank you so much, Maureen. I really appreciate you and WPLN.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you all. And we will hopefully see you very soon.